Hi everyone, I'm Bonnie from Really Reasonable Ribbon and Make Time to Craft. Today is the first in a series of videos I'm going to post teaching you how to create Kanzashi flowers. For the flowers today I'm using 1.5 inch grosgrain ribbon, but double face satin and gingham ribbon work really well too. As long as the ribbon is 100% polyester, this method will work. These samples here are flowers that were made with either all grosgrain, gingham ribbon, or a combination of the two. I also have a pretty pink and purple flower that I made to go along with this woven ribbon headband that I made using ribbons from the Really Reasonable Ribbon July Ribbon Club assortment. Once you enroll in Ribbon Club, you will get a new color or holiday themed assortment of ribbon each month. What a fun way to build your ribbon stash and try new ribbon styles. The project that I'm going to make today is going to be a rainbow Kanzashi flower. And this is made all with different colors of grosgrain ribbon. So I have pre-cut all of my squares. This is 1.5 inch grosgrain ribbon cut into 1.5 inch squares. And I've also heat sealed the edges of the ribbon. It's never a bad thing to heat seal the edges of the ribbon, but as you see, as we fold each individual petal, you'll see that you don't really need, you can skip that step. You don't need to seal them now because as we create the petals, all the edges will end up getting sealed. So let's get started. Before we get started, I'll tell you the supplies that I have. I have a lighter for heat sealing the edges. I have heavy duty quilting thread. I would suggest either quilting or some sort of upholstery thread, or at the very least double up regular thread. The 1.5 inch grosgrain cut into squares. I have a 14mm embellishment that I'm going to use for the center. I have a pair of regular tweezers, and I have a pair of the cross-action tweezers where you squeeze to open and they're in a closed position when you're not squeezing. A pair of nice sharp scissors, and I have a hot glue gun, and I have a rectangular alligator clip for the end when we attach our finished project to it. So I'm going to take a ribbon square, and we're going to start by taking the upper left corner and folding it down to the bottom right. And I just lightly finger press the fold. Now I'm going to take the point in the lower left and bring it to the upper right point. And I'm going to leave it offset just a little bit. And the reason for that is when we make our next fold, bringing this corner up, the bulk of the layers of ribbon is going to push that layer up anyway, and if we leave it slightly offset, it'll end up exactly where we want it after this fold, which is with all the edges pretty much lined up. So at this point you can pretty much see what your petal is going to look like. So I'm going to squeeze that, and I'm going to use my tweezers to hold it, and we're going to trim just the tip off of our petal, and I'm going to use my lighter to heat seal the edges. Because it's polyester ribbon, the heat makes it start to melt, and it'll seal the edges from fraying, and it also acts as a glue to hold the petals together. Our next cut is going to be to cut just a diagonal off of the bottom, and this will make the height of the petal just a little less, so it's not such a steep curve. And I'm going to use my tweezers to hold again, and we are going to heat seal all the cut edges on the bottom of that petal. And I usually go in with my other tweezers and squeeze just to make sure I have a good seal. So there is the first petal. So we'll do that again with the pink, and we'll go a little quicker this time. Fold and fold, leaving that slightly offset. I'm going to bring this corner up and squeeze. I'm going to use my tweezers to hold it. Snip the ends. Heat seal them. Trim the bottom. And you're always going to want to try to take off the same amount because you want the height of all your petals to be consistent. And after a little practice, it'll just happen. You'll be more consistent with it. And squeeze, make sure everything looks sealed. You could always go back if you see something that looks like you didn't really do a good catch it well. And there is another petal. So I've done all the rest of the petals, so our next step will be assembling the flower. I have a piece of string that I've threaded. I also put a little knot at the end. That's mainly just so I don't pull it all the way through. The knot really doesn't get used for anything. And you're just gonna add each petal in order, in the color order you want. Try to be consistent with where you insert the needle so they're all consistent all the way around. I would probably take maybe a little more care doing this if I wasn't filming. I know this is boring to watch, so I'm going to try to quickly thread them all on. For this type of petal, when it's just one single layer of grosgrain, I am inclined to do at least 8 petals, if not 10, to give it a nice amount of fullness. This flower has 10 petals. If you're using 3 colors, do 9 petals so that you'll have 3 of each color. You know, it's pretty much what looks good to you. There's no right or wrong amount of petals to add. So now that they're all strung on there, I'm just going to make a knot, and I'm just going to do a typical right over left, left over right knot. To get them into a circle. And I'll flip it over and just add a little glue to the back so I can make sure that thread stays. And just trim it. And the little round piece of cardstock just to use as the base of the flower, so I'll add some hot glue to that. This is just a little non-stick sheet that I'm going to work on. Center that on the back of the flower, then flip the flower over and press the petals down. You have a little bit of dry time if you want to rearrange petals. That looks pretty good to me. Then I'm going to fill the center with glue and add my embellishment. I like to use at least a 12 millimeter, if not larger. This one is 14 millimeters, I believe. That way it just covers up all of the centers in case your petals aren't real consistent in the very center. It'll cover up any mistake. So at this point it is ready to add to my clip, which I can't find. Here it is. This is just a little rectangular alligator clip. I just glued a piece of grosgrain to the top just to cover it. And I'm going to be adding these as leaves, so I don't want to add a green next to the green, so I just want to situate this on the clip, maybe like that, just so I can slip those leaves in. So add some glue, add my clip, flip it over, and you're not, once I add those little leaves on the ends, you're not even going to see the white of the clip at all. I'll add a little bit of glue on either side of this and the bottom and sneak it in between those petals. And do the same on this side. Not a big fan of hot glue. I don't like the strings, but it is the quickest and easiest way to get this job done. You just squeeze those together and then pull off all the hot glue strings, and you have a beautiful finished flower. Thanks so much for joining me and learning how to create our simple Kanzashi petal. I hope you'll subscribe to my YouTube channel so you'll be notified as I add new Kanzashi videos. If you like this video, don't forget to give me a thumbs up below and leave a comment. Happy crafting!